Hi, my name is Zach Simmons, and this is another prediction episode of Pro Football Today. So today we're going to be going through the NFC East. We're going to go through the NFC East, and you're going to be seeing a few other prediction videos going on throughout this week. Still have the South to do, still have the NFC West to do, still have my playoff prediction episode. So NFC East, number 4, I'm keeping the Washington football team there. I'm going to keep them in last place. I think this team has gotten better, but I don't think they're going to be good enough to take out the other 3 teams in the division. They have a chance. There's definitely a chance. But the fact that it's Dwayne Haskins and not Alex Smith, that alarms me a little bit. I know Alex Smith has missed a full season. I get that. Haskins showed some flashes last season, but he also showed some flashes that maybe he's not exactly ready yet. He needs a better cast, and they didn't really give him a better cast. They lose Paul Richardson. He's gone. They bring in Dontrell Inman. They lose Jordan Reed. They lose Vernon Davis. Jerry Sprinkle is now the tight end 1, which I don't see them going after another tight end unless maybe they'll try to make a trade happen if they actually have a legitimate shot at making playoffs. They might go for the tight end at that point. Otherwise, I'm fully expecting them in the offseason to grab a tight end. I don't think Jeremy Sprinkle is going to be exactly that guy, but it can definitely happen. Running back, Darius Geis is gone. Adrian Peterson is gone. He leaves to Detroit. That leaves Antonio Gibson, Peyton Barber, and kind of the surprise on their depth chart that they just released not too long ago is that the number 1 running back is not going to be either one of those guys. It's going to be J.D. McKissick. He'll be the starting running back. We'll see exactly how that works. We'll see if Gibson's able to take that role. Peyton Barber also makes sense to take that lead back role eventually. McKissick's a very good back, but he's also more of that change of pace back. A receiving threat type of running back, not necessarily your number 1 guy. So that's kind of what I'm expecting. They might have number 1 on the depth chart. Doesn't mean he's going to load the way for them in week 1. I'm fully expecting Gibson or Barber to take that lead spot. I'm pretty sure you're going to see all 3 of those guys kind of rotating in week 1 until one of them shows they are the full starter. They had 3 cornerbacks. They lose Webster. Josh Norman's in Buffalo. You had Aaron Colvin. You add Kendall Fuller. Kendall Fuller comes back to Washington. Remember he was part of the Alex Smith trade. And then they also add Ronald Darby. And don't forget, in the draft, they also drafted Chase Young. This isn't a scary defense. It can be a good defense. It can be... I'll even go on record saying this could be a top 10 defense. It definitely could be. It could be something like what we saw with San Francisco last season. This could be one of those teams that just kind of comes out of nowhere. There's that potential. And saying that San Fran did that without a good offense on paper... They were still able to make it work, given though they still had that one huge target in George Kittle. Washington has Terry McLaurin. He's a capable receiver, but he's not the same thing as George Kittle. But I think there is a chance that he could probably be a standout receiver this year. So just with all the question marks, not knowing exactly how Dwayne Haskins is going to look in his second year, seeing some pieces begin to work out a little bit in Washington when it comes to the running backs. It's looking a little bit better. Tight ends not looking so great. Receiver, there's still a lot of questions over. So I think it's safe to keep Washington here at number 4. I don't necessarily see them being number 4 next season. I think they're just a couple people away from really making this team gel. And having a new coach like Ron Rivera is definitely going to help them out with that. Number 3 in the NFC East, I have the Giants. I'm having the Giants back at number 3. this can be a good team if injuries don't plague the offense like they did last season. Barkley missed a couple games. I believe the starting 3 receivers, Golden Tate, Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton, I believe they only spent 3 games on the field at the same time. Otherwise, Tate was out due to suspension. Receivers kept getting hurt and everything. It was a very the offense was kind of like a revolving door due to injuries. I mean, it was a different team every single week, and yet Daniel Jones didn't look half bad. He had some fumble issues. You take away those fumble issues, though, he really wasn't a bad quarterback. I think one of the things you look at him is, well, he was on a losing team. It's the Giants. Really, the Giants can just have a better defense, have more reliable receivers that can stay on the field all season long. I think that's more of what they need rather than, well, they picked the wrong quarterback. I don't know. There's some circumstances that Daniel Jones looked better than Dwayne Haskins. Jones's problem, he was wildly inconsistent. Had some really good games and had some really bad games. If he can keep that consistency level going, Daniel Jones will be just fine. They did add some. They did add to the defense, so the defense looks a little bit better than what they were last season. They lost a couple linebackers. They lost Deion Buchanan. They lost Alec Ogletree. Not a big deal. They bring in Blake Martinez. They bring in Kyler Fackrell. Fackrell, I think, is a pretty underrated guy. 2018, 10.5 sacks. 10.5 sacks with Green Bay. Green Bay then decides to go for the Smiths, Preston Smith, and Darius Smith. But Fackrell, he's still a pretty good edge rusher, which that's kind of what the Giants need, is some help there in the defensive line. In the secondary, they add James Bradbury, they add Logan Ryan. This defense should get better this season. They should get better. Offensively, they draft Andrew Thomas with the fourth pick. Better tackles out there. There are definitely better tackles out there. Everyone thought that they had to go someplace else, but no, they went with the other tackle, Andrew Thomas. So the big questions with that is, can he be like Mike Remmers? Can he be as reliable as Mike Remmers? Overall, Giants have a shot. Giants do actually have a shot. I'm not just saying that to be nice. They actually do have a shot. But it really depends on, this defense needs to look a lot better. But also, these receivers need to be reliable. They need to help out the young quarterback. They need to stay healthy. If they can stay healthy, this offense can stay healthy. This could be one of the best offenses in the division. Daniel Jones was electric last season. I think they definitely have a shot to be better than the Eagles' offense, which is who we find at number 2. Philadelphia Eagles. They won division last season. They did win division last season, but I just had that feeling they really haven't done a whole lot. They improved corners. They needed to improve corners. They've gone season after season with injured corners. They lose Ronald Darby. Darby goes to Washington. They bring in Darius Slay from Detroit. They also bring in Roby Coleman as well. And then Sidney Jones is now also gone. So they add a lot more stability with the cornerback core. That's great. But the problem is that's pretty much all they added. Nelson Aguilar leaves. They bring in Jalen Reagor, who I have a feeling is just going to be Nelson Aguilar. A quick guy who's not going to be incredibly reliable. Jeffrey isn't reliable anymore. He's not the same that he was when they got him a few years ago, when he was with the Bears. And this offense is going to take a hit. It's going to take a hit. They lose Jordan Howard, and I know a lot of people saying, well, what about Miles Sanders? What about Miles Sanders? Can't he be really good? I love Miles Sanders. I think Miles Sanders can really be something, but after they missed out on Carlos Hyde, it made me kind of wonder just how they were acting and everything. Do they not trust Miles Sanders? Do they really want another back in there like Jordan Howard to so Miles Sanders will not be the lead back or whatever? It tells me that maybe they don't trust him completely. It's not saying that Miles Sanders isn't going to be good, but it does raise some red flags if the team doesn't necessarily believe in him. That means that even if he is good, they're not going to give him as much shots as they should. But the problem with Philly is not that they're a bad team. They're going to make playoffs. I have them making playoffs. The problem is they didn't really get better in Dallas. I think you can make the argument that Dallas has gotten better. This is what Dallas has done. They let a lot of good players go. A lot of capable stars are gone. Robert Quinn is now with Chicago. Randall Cobb is now with the Texans. Jason Witten and Jeff Heath and Malik Collins are all with the Raiders. Byron Jones is now gone. I believe he is now with Miami. They lost some big playmakers, but they also brought in some big playmakers. Dontari Poe, their D tackle. They bring Daryl Worley, who is kind of an underrated corner. They draft Trevin Diggs in the second round. They bring in Alden Smith. Randy Gregory has now been reinstated. They add Everson Griffin. This line is going to look good. It's going to look good. And to top all that off, they lose Randall Cobb, who is very reliable. They add C.D. Lamb, which is very interesting to me. Lamb has the potential to kind of take a lot of targets away from Michael Gallup. Gallup's shown some flashes, but also he's had some drop issues. C.D. Lamb might be able to kind of get his way in there into the number 2 spot. If that's what happens, it's huge. That's huge. You have a little bit more of a reliable receiver, and then you still have Michael Gallup as your third target. That's fantastic. Blake Jarwin now steps in as the number 1 tight end once again. Dallas, I think, has a really good chance to pull this one off. And it helps. Jason Garrett is gone. Garrett is gone. They bring in Mike McCarthy, who's had a lot of success in Green Bay. Last couple years for him was not great, but also part of that Green Bay was without Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers wasn't healthy the next season in 2018. McCarthy, I think he'll be just fine there in Dallas. I think he's exactly what they need. He's a capable head coach, Super Bowl winning head coach. He brings a lot to the table. And with the guys they brought in, with the guys they already have in their roster, Amari Cooper got re-signed. Dak Prescott has been franchise tagged. Zeke gets his deal. He's got a lot of capable players for a long time, especially if they can get this Dak Prescott deal done. But so that's what I have for you. This episode, number 4, we get the Washington football team. Number 3, we have the New York Giants. Number 2, Philadelphia Eagles. I have the Dallas Cowboys overtaking the Eagles, winning division. Eagles, I do have making playoffs, though. So that's what I have for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll have a few more videos coming out later on this week. We'll have a Bears video talking about the week one matchup against Detroit. And thank you so much for watching. Hit the subscribe button. Please leave any comments. I don't care if they're positive or negative. Leave them in there. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good rest of your night.